Call to order the Lake Mills.
Okay, we're called to order the Lake Mills Plan Commission for November 24th, 2020 at roughly 7 PM.
Wayne, can you turn on the mic on that noise? Turn on the mic on that noise.
He's taped shut.
We're only catching you from that. I think, I hear him.
Testing. Testing.
Okay, try now. Testing? Testing?
Okay. Call to
Start
order
over.
the Lake Mills Plan Commission, November 24th, 2020.
Okay, call to order the Lake Mills Plan Commission, November 24th, 2020.
Roll call, please.
And I'd ask for the clerk to do the roll call, please.
Mr. Foster,
I'm here.
Mr. Holman, Mr. Schumacher,
Here.
Mr. Coots,
Here.
Mr. Magnuson, Mr. Magnuson,
Here.
Mr. Grady,
Here.
and Ms. Lazarus previously informed staff that she'd be unavailable for this evening's meeting.
Okay. Yeah, Mrs. Lazarus called me and asked me to sub in because she was going to be out of town. Correction and/or approval of the minutes of October 27, 2020.
I'll move adoption of. the
Okay.
minutes of
Could I have
10:27.
a motion to approve? Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. Could I have ask for a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Schumacher,
Aye.
Mr. Coots,
Aye.
Mr. Magnuson,
Aye.
Mr. Foster.
Aye.
I just want to make sure nobody else joined since I did roll call. Right now I've got a 4-0 approved.
Yeah, nobody else joined.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to questions and public comment. Upon the agenda, unless the item is subject to a public hearing. If your comments pertain to a public hearing, you are asked to hold your comments until the hearing. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting has been called to order. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the Plan Commission on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and state your name and address when starting your comments and fill out the sign-in sheet provided. For people online, please type your name and address in the chat feature. Anybody here? Is there anybody virtually who would like to address the Plan Commission?
I do not see anybody, Wayne.
Okay.
Is there someone that would
Okay,
like to
then we'll,
address? I don't have anybody, Wayne.
okay, hearing none. Then we'll move on to the public hearing. It's a proposed amendment to zoning ordinance section 660-63, special purpose and overlay zoning districts. A, planned development district. 2, permitted location to amend minimum size requirements of PDD overlay zoning districts. Okay, we have have given a notice of public hearing. This is a copy of the proposed ordinance amendment is on the city's website and is available for review at the city clerk's office. And all persons who are interested are invited to attend this meeting and be heard. Written comments may be submitted to the city clerk in lieu of public appearance. Okay, we'll convene then the public hearing, PC zoning ordinance to amend 660-63A2. Does anybody wish to address the Plan Commission at this time? Anybody virtually?
There doesn't appear to be anybody on, Wayne.
Okay, so at this time, then I'll close the public hearing. And we'll move on to discussion recommendation on proposed amendment to zoning ordinance section 660-63, special purpose and overlay zoning districts. A, planned development district. 2, permitted location to amend minimum size requirements of PDD overlay zoning districts. Okay, in our packets, we have the Plan Commission motion. We have the copy of the ordinance 1220 for City Council. And we have the memo from the city attorney. So starting, why don't we go to the city attorney? Do you care to tell us or describe your memo?
No problem. Thank you very much. So what we've basically run into is a situation where our planned development district overlay is largely inapplicable to available sites throughout the city due to the minimum size requirement. When the zoning code was adopted in 2014, I believe, as chapter 660, it was adopted and it has been largely unused to this point, and one of the reasons for that is a minimum site size requirement of 5 acres. In the city of Lake Mills, we've basically run out of such sites. So PDD is intended to utilize for redevelopment or development of sites that are looking for some form of essentially special treatment or treatment that is distinct from the zoning code itself without the requirement to get variances and such. So it goes through an extensive approval process and review process in the city. Basically what this ordinance does, this proposed amendment, is removes the minimum site size requirement, and while restating the process that it must go through. The effort here is to create a device, a mechanism that is has more utility to the city of Lake Mills and potential development zones in the future. That's basically it in a nutshell. PUDs and PDDs are largely used in contemporary city planning and zoning procedures, and in my opinion, it is it's desirable to use in the city of Lake Mills because at this point we have many kind of unique redevelopment opportunities where this just doesn't fit right now because of that minimum site size requirement. So this is an attempt to make PDD overlay a little bit more available for use throughout the city. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm sure Dustin has insight, and Mr. Wilkie does too, I assume.
Okay, how about Dustin, you have some comment or issue?
Dustin, I think Mr. Magnuson was asking if you had anything you wanted to add.
Dustin, I think your microphone is off.
I'm having the same problem as everybody else. As Attorney Drescher had indicated, the focus here is to be able to use this important tool for key redevelopment sites throughout the community. A lot of them in conjunction with our redevelopment tax rent financing districts. The ability to have flexibility for sites from some of the bulk regulations should those key findings that are highlighted in Attorney Drescher's memo be met. Really, that's the focus. We shouldn't have been prioritizing larger sites over smaller sites. We really should have been prioritizing meeting these key requirements as reviewed by the staff, of course, the Plan Commission, ultimately the council in the use of plan development districts.
I think that's very well stated. Thanks, Dustin. Mr. Wilkie, Mr. Magnuson was asking if you had anything to add.
No, not really. It pretty much what Dustin and Dan have said. It's a Lake Mills is a situation where to redevelop certain types of sites, we're not going to see 5 acres in the downtown or some of the redevelopment areas, and PDD is a key to being able to redevelop some of those areas. So it's an important tool to be able to have available to us.
So correct me if I'm wrong, this will allow sites through the proper process to be able to put things on these smaller sites that normally wouldn't fit within our codes. Is that it in a nutshell?
It's more considering the bulk regulations, so density requirements on sites, the type of structures on sites,
Yeah.
setback requirements, bulk regulations as opposed to like a wholesale change of intended uses in specific zoning categories. So a property that's zoned residential, a PDD overlay would typically not allow you to put solely industrial on that property, but perhaps some mix or something like that. But the bulk regulations is kind of the primary focus of PDD overlays, amending the bulk regulations.
Right. Yeah. And your explanation went a lot more in depth than what I was getting at. But yeah, it's, the uses really don't change. It just allows you to be more flexible with the site and what's on the site than what our basic regulations allow.
We're still going. The other consideration is, so 660 section 206 in our code is what provides the procedures with regard to approval of PDD overlay, plan development district overlay, and that process won't change whatsoever. And in statute, that is what's required for, explicitly required for PDD overlay, that there is some form of process for approval that goes through, that the plans and that the development site itself is scrutinized, and it's not just a pass-through process where you apply for PDD and you're guaranteed to get it. You still have to respect the formalities of the process. There are multiple levels of review to achieve an overlay of PDD, and it's this, all that we're looking to amend today is specifically the minimum site size requirement. So 660-206 remains unchanged, and that's really the key part, the process that you have to formally go through and acknowledge.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Wayne still off?
I can't hear a thing. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay.
They hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Oh, somebody had a comment then or a question?
I think we got them all answered.
I had a question on, if you go to the Plan Commission ordinance, and the basic language there in 2 is what we're removing, the 5-acre requirement. Does that mean then that all zoning districts could apply for a PDD?
Well, yes, I mean, but it has always been that way, that any zoning district can apply. You will still have to meet the minimum lot size for creating a lot. It doesn't really sidestep any lot creation requirements specifically without being reviewed and approved. At the end of the day, we just have a number of vacant sites or underutilized sites that are in a variety of zoning districts, from our R2, our R3, our downtown business districts that could utilize this tool. And by having that minimum lot size, we've negated that opportunity. You as a commission will still review. If someone came in with a site and it's only a half an acre, you would still review it. All right. You're still going to review to see if it's appropriate for the proposed plan development district overlay. And that's the key.
Okay, so I have a vacant residential lot. Could I apply for a PDD for that lot?
You could, certainly.
By removing the 5-acre thing, that qualifies my lot then for a PDD. Why would I want to do that? But I can.
Well, that's exactly the question. Why would you? What relaxation of the zoning requirements are you looking for with the PDD overlay? So on your 1-acre lot or half-acre lot, what treatment are you looking for? What relaxation of the bulk requirements? What is your plan with that lot? What is the need for the PDD overlay?
If I can add, Attorney Drescher, well, the key to the plan development district is the public benefit of being enabled to use it. It's not so much that it may benefit your site, but your project has to deserve the use of plan development district and have greater public benefit than not being able to use it. So it will be difficult for someone on a single family site to come in and say, I want exceptions from all these codes, and then say the benefit is I get to build a building or I get to do this. That really doesn't mean a greater public good. And that's the focus with a plan development district.
Well, I was just using that as an example of, because if you go through 660-63, there's all kinds of waivers and set different alterations you could do to property that maybe I'd be better off, somebody'd be better off doing a PDD than trying to go to the zoning board of appeals.
Well, in that circumstance, you'd have to go through an alternative process, specifically that found in 66206.
Additionally, what's the public benefit to giving someone a bunch of variances for their own single family home? Again, you are going to be scrutinizing plan development district based upon the criteria in the code for a plan development district. Are you providing more open space? Are you providing better site design? Is there more comprehensive design of your project? You know, what is the exception you're asking for, and why does the public benefit from you being able to utilize plan development district? The commission will be evaluating that, and if you don't feel it's satisfied, you wouldn't approve it.
Yeah, going this route, it gets a lot more review because you gotta go to maybe go to the Public Works or to Plan Commission and then on to the council. I realize there, it gets a lot of review. Just asking the question.
Yep, all good questions.
So this could also be used on existing parcels with structures already on there, on them.
Well,
Correct.
it certainly could, but again, it's the threshold. You know, are you meeting the litmus for using it? You know, I'll take the Kenny Pearson site, right? It's got a big old building on it. Maybe there's a way to design that site to take advantage of that building that's there, but the rigidity of our code wouldn't like allow multiple structures on that site, right? And so maybe someone's coming in to do something and they want to keep that building and add buildings around it. Plan development district might be a good route to go that way.
So potential, maybe not so much for residential, except for new areas.
Probably, yes. Well, you could see a redevelopment site come in and someone is trying to, you know, oddly shaped lots that you're looking for certain types of residential on. Maybe you want multiple building types. Maybe you want, maybe you do want a couple of single family homes and then a series of multifamily structures or townhouse structures. So again, they're going to come in, they will make their case for using it, and then you will evaluate it based upon the criteria we have.
This could apply where somebody would want to come in and do some removal of existing and replace with using a PDD.
There are so many instances where a PDD could be used. But again, it goes back to the criteria for use of it within the community, and you as an entity will make a decision whether it's an appropriate application or is not.
You could look at sites like the Bayberry or Cottage Inn and
Certainly
redeveloping that. You could look at the Century Building, that would be another one. So you're looking at a couple sites there that probably would make sense to come in with some type of redevelopment proposal. Obviously, what's there doesn't probably have a use anymore for what it's, and probably or isn't in the condition that it would be useful. So being able to give someone the tools to be able to make some changes to the site might make it more desirable to be redeveloped.
I have nothing further to ask. Does anybody else on the Plan Commission have any questions or comments?
No, they don't, Wayne.
Okay, hearing none. Would anybody motion 20-11-1?
I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 12-1220.
And I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Plan Commission, motion 20-11-1. Is there any further comments or questions?
Okay,
Okay, I'd like to have a roll call vote then.
Mr. Coots?
Was it Mr. Coots?
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Magnuson?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Schumacher?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Okay.
Recommendation for
Recommendation for future
agenda.
agendas.
I have a question.
I have a question on maybe perhaps
As you
something.
stated in your,
As you stated in your thing, we're experiencing significant new development and redevelopment, a lot of residential. Is it possible to have data on the amount of owner-occupied residential units versus non-owner-occupied residential units? Come up with some kind of ratio. Is that kind of data available?
Certainly through the US Census.
So that would be the most recent one?
Well, it gets a little more challenging there. I mean, obviously we had the 2020 census. I don't know if preliminary numbers have been out yet. I haven't seen anything or heard anything. It usually takes a little bit. We don't have a local mechanism for keeping track of that. So, but I can get you
So it'd be
general
a
report data. I can get close. I mean, I think
Oh,
we'll have
that'd
some interpolations from like 2017 or 2018 from the US Census.
Okay. That's my request, but I'm only one dude.
We can certainly make that available.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Is there any
that could
other
be
recommendations
useful.
for agenda items?
I'd just like to remind everybody that there is a meeting December 8th at 7 p.m. with a public hearing and an item on Drumlin Crossing. So that's a different night than we're used to. I believe everybody was contacted. You'll receive an agenda in the mail, but that is a special meeting.
Duly noted. Anything else? All right, item 8 is adjournment. I would entertain a motion then to adjourn. Unless you
I'll
want to
make a
stay
motion
here.
to adjourn.
I will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call vote on adjournment?
Mr. Magnuson,
Aye.
Mr. Foster,
Aye.
Mr. Schumacher,
Aye.
Mr. Coots.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
We stand adjourned.